In a quiet town in Oregon lived Emily Carter, a woman known for her kindness and silence. She was not weak, she was tired. Tired of forgiving, tired of trusting, tired of being invisible. Emily was once full of dreams. She wanted to open her own design studio, travel the world, and live freely. But life had other plans. She married Daniel Carter, a charming man who slowly turned into her worst nightmare. Daniel controlled everything: her money, her time, her voice. When Emily questioned him, he laughed. When she cried, he ignored her. And when she tried to leave, he reminded her of how powerless she was. One night, Daniel framed Emily for financial fraud using her name and signature. She was arrested, humiliated, and sentenced. Daniel walked free, smiling. That night in prison, Emily whispered to herself, "I will survive. And one day, I will make you regret everything." Prison didn't break Emily, it rebuilt her. She met women who had survived worse stories. From them, Emily learned strength, patience, and strategy. She studied logbooks, psychology, and business. She trained her mind like a weapon. Years passed. Daniel never visited her. Instead, he married another woman and became a successful businessman using Emily's stolen ideas. When Emily was finally released, the world felt strange. She had no money, no home, but she had a plan. She changed her name to Evelyn Cross. And Emily Carter officially died. Evelyn Cross entered the business world quietly. She started small consulting, design contracts, investments. She was smart, calm, and dangerous in silence. Within 3 years, Evelyn became a powerful investor. One day, Daniel received an email. "Mr. Carter, we would like to invest in your company. Evelyn Cross Holdings." Daniel never recognized her. At their first meeting, Evelyn smiled politely. Daniel talked proudly about his success built on Emily's pain. Evelyn listened. And remembered everything. Touching him. Evelyn didn't seek loud revenge. She chose perfect revenge. She slowly exposed Daniel's illegal deals anonymously. She bought shares in his company. She turned his partners against him. She leaked evidence legally. Daniel's empire began to fall. One evening, Daniel stood outside his ruined office, confused and angry. Evelyn walked past him and stopped. "Do you believe people ever pay for what they do?" she asked. Daniel looked at her face closely. And froze. "Emily," he whispered. Evelyn smiled. "No," she said calmly. "Emily was weak. I am what you created." Daniel was arrested months later for fraud, manipulation, and abuse. The same prison where Emily once cried now held him. Evelyn testified not with tears, but with truth. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She simply spoke. And justice listened. Evelyn stood on a beach in California, feeling the wind on her face. She didn't feel happiness from revenge. She felt peace. She opened a foundation to help abused women rebuild their lives. Emily Carter was gone, but Evelyn Cross lived free, strong, and unbreakable. Even after Daniel's arrest, Evelyn Cross was not completely free. At night, memories returned like shadows: cold prison walls, the sound of iron doors, the shame in her mother's eyes. Success couldn't erase trauma. Evelyn realized something important: revenge had ended. Healing had not begun. She started therapy quietly. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to cry, not because she was weak, but because she was human. And slowly, the scars stopped bleeding. Rise. Evelyn launched the Phoenix Project, a foundation for women falsely accused, abused, or silenced. She didn't show her face at first. But her story spread. Women came to her with broken confidence and empty hands just like she once did. Evelyn didn't promise miracles. She offered tools, education, legal help, and belief. She told them one sentence again and again: they didn't destroy you. They only revealed how strong you are. Prison broke Daniel the way it never broke Emily. The man who once controlled everything now waited for permission to breathe. His cell was smaller than Emily's had been, but the guilt was heavier. One day, he received a letter. No sender name. Just one line: you taught me pain. I taught myself power. Daniel knew who it was from. And for the first time in his life, he felt fear not of punishment, but of truth. Journalists began digging. How did Daniel Carter really rise? Who is Evelyn Cross? Is she a victim or a mastermind? Evelyn finally agreed to one interview. She sat calmly, dressed simply, eyes steady. I am not a revenge story, she said. I am a survival story. The interview went viral. Millions of women saw themselves in her silence, her strength, her rebirth. Evelyn became a symbol not of hate, but of transformation. Evelyn had closed her heart for years. But life tested her again. Michael Reyes, a lawyer working with her foundation, was different. He never pushed. Never controlled. He listened. When he finally asked her why she never talked about love, Evelyn answered honestly, because love once destroyed me. Michael replied softly, then let this time heal you. Evelyn didn't fall suddenly. She chose carefully. And that made all the difference. Evelyn visited the old house where she once lived as Emily. The walls felt smaller now. She stood in the same kitchen where Daniel had humiliated her and smiled not with bitterness, but closure. I forgive myself, she whispered. For staying. For trusting. For surviving. And she walked away. Lighter. Years later, Evelyn stood on a stage, receiving an award for social impact. Applause filled the room. But what mattered most was not fame or success. It was this truth: she was no longer running. She was no longer hiding fire inside. She had become the fire. Success brought power, but power brought loneliness. Evelyn Cross sat alone in her penthouse, city lights glowing beneath her feet. She had everything she once prayed for: money, respect, freedom. Yet some nights felt heavy. She missed the woman she used to be, not weak Emily, but the innocent Emily who believed love could save people. Michael noticed the silence in her eyes. You don't have to carry everything alone, he said. Evelyn replied quietly, I learned survival alone. Sharing feels risky. Michael didn't argue. He stayed. At the Phoenix Project, Evelyn met Sarah, a young woman accused of corporate theft exactly like Emily once was. Sarah cried the way Emily never had. I feel dirty, Sarah whispered. Like the world already decided I'm guilty. Evelyn held her hands firmly. No, she said. They decided too early. And we will prove them wrong. For the first time, Evelyn saw her past not as pain but as purpose. Daniel's prison sentence grew heavier with every passing month. He watched news clips of Evelyn's success on the common TV, her face calm, powerful, respected. She had everything. And he had nothing. At night, guilt crawled into his dreams. He remembered Emily's silence. He mistook it for weakness. That mistake destroyed him. One day, Evelyn received a request. Daniel wanted to meet her. Michael warned her. You don't owe him anything. Evelyn thought long and hard. Finally, she said, I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this for myself. The room smelled of metal and regret. Daniel looked smaller. Older. Broken. I'm sorry, he said, voice shaking. I didn't think you'd survive. Evelyn looked straight into his eyes. That's the problem, she replied calmly. You never thought of me as human. Daniel cried. Evelyn didn't. She stood up and said her final words, you took years from my life. I took my power back. We are even only because I say so. She walked out. And the door closed forever. That night, Evelyn went to Michael. For the first time, she allowed herself to lean into someone. I don't want to be strong all the time, she admitted. Michael held her gently. You don't have to be. Evelyn realized something powerful. Strength is choosing vulnerability after surviving destruction. Evelyn didn't celebrate Daniel's downfall. She celebrated something bigger. Sarah won her case. Other women rebuilt their lives. The Phoenix Project expanded globally. Evelyn smiled not because she won revenge, but because she created change. Years later, Evelyn wrote a book. Not about Daniel. Not about revenge. But about silence, survival, and self-respect. The book ended with one line, they tried to burn me. They forgot I was fire. On a quiet evening, Evelyn stood by the ocean again. She wasn't running from pain anymore. She wasn't chasing revenge. She was living. Emily Carter had died once. But from her ashes, a woman rose, who no one could ever silence again.